Good morning, everybody. It's Victoria Thomas in Agent Development. I have Maddie Morgan, our social media specialist, with us. She's going to talk this morning a little bit about engagement. As a reminder, you are all muted, so if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to type them in that question panel on the GoToWebinar control panel, and I will monitor those. But without further ado, Maddie, I think we're ready.
Hi guys, good morning. Thanks so much for joining today on this sunny Monday morning. It's a little chilly out this morning, to be honest. I don't know if I'm ready for cooler weather, but alas, here we are. So this morning we're going to talk a little bit about engagement. So what that means, why it's important, and I even threw in a few tips for you guys on how to make that work for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so what is engagement on social media? So picture this, when you are scrolling through your social media feeds and you're only seeing content probably from the same 20 friends or so, right? How do you make sure that your content is showing up for other people? Well, the key to this is engagement. You have to play an engagement game. If you plan on posting and never engaging with your audience, unfortunately, you won't have a successful business on social media. So what is engagement? So social media engagement is essentially a measure of how people are interacting with your accounts and with your content. So basically, it's the measurement of the number of comments, likes, and shares you're getting on your posts. You know, of course, you want to rack up followers. Followers are important, but ultimately the greatest measure of social media success is going to be an engaged audience, not just a big one. So in other words, it's the quality of your followers, not just the quantity that you should be striving for, you know. It's not just about looking popular, having lots of followers, you know. It's about making meaningful connections with, you know, these current and potentially future clients, and that is going to generally boost your business both on and offline. So think of social media as a party. So you're at this party, you're talking to people, you're mingling. When another party goer comes up to you and says something to you, do you just nod at them or give them a smile and then walk away? No, of course not. You're saying something back to them. You're interacting with them. You're having a conversation, you know, making a meaningful conversation. Or on the other hand, you know, imagine that you are throwing a party and all these people showed up, you know, you have like a big long guest list, all these people showed up, but they're all sitting there silently. You know, they're not having small talk, there's no dancing, no conversations happening, no questionable drinking games, you know. Was the party really a success then? You know, the RSVP looks good, sure, but did your guests have fun? Did they make those meaningful connections? Did they like your chip dip? You know, would they come back to a party at your house? And interacting with your audience on social media is the same thing. You know, engagement is crucial for every social media platform to build a positive experience for the consumer, to make sure that people are having a good time at your party and to develop those meaningful relationships with new and potentially future clients. You know, so social media engagement is measured by a range of metrics, but it's basically, you know, the number of shares or retweets you're getting, the number of comments or direct messages, you know, likes. Obviously, you know, followers and audience growth, of course, contribute to that as well. Click-throughs, so if you know, post a link or something, engagement is measured by how many people click on that link. Mentions also count, so if you are tagged in something, you know, whether you're tagged or untagged or, you know, whatever, and then using hashtags as well, you know, using brand specific ones. So like we use the hashtag Talk to Tucker or Tucker Talks Indie as we're utilizing that branded hashtag that's, you know, for us to use and people are clicking on it and interacting with it, that counts toward our engagement as well. So basically, social media engagement is it's growing anytime someone interacts with your account. It's a great way to measure whether the content you're creating is actually resonating with your audience too. So that's important, because if the content that you're posting isn't getting the likes or isn't getting the comments, it's not content and material that your audience is interested in. So measuring your engagement is really important. So that's a little bit about, what engagement is and why it's important. So how do you make sure that you are engaging with your audience? You could just cross your fingers and hope that your followers start to, chat spontaneously on your posts, but chances are they're going to need a little bit more encouragement than that. So luckily, there are a lot of tricks that you can do to boost engagement and get your virtual social media party bumping. Okay, so tip number one is just to engage with your audience. This sounds like a no-brainer, of course, but it can be really easy to overlook. When we're deciding what to post on social media, I think that it's really easy to put most of your focus on creating the best content, but what happens after we post that content? That's where the real work begins. Content creation is important, but it's after you put it out there into the universe that you really have to start working with it. Something to keep in mind that without engagement, social media is just media. When you're engaging with your audience, you have to actually be social. So remember my party example. You wouldn't walk away from somebody at a party, so don't post and then walk away from somebody on social media. As a simple rule, try to reply to every comment you get on a post, every direct message you get, try to reply, every story reply if you're creating Facebook and Instagram stories. Anytime anybody replies to that, try to send them a message back. Because if these people are willing to engage with you and engage with your posts and engage with what you're posting, it means that they care about what you're posting. And if they care about what you're posting, you should really try to deepen that relationship so that they'll, potentially work with you in the future by having that relationship and having that meaningful connection. So take Instagram, for example. The Instagram algorithm, all algorithms really, all social platforms, but for this example, Instagram, the algorithm rewards engagement over impressions, which are the number of times that your post is seen by people, or follower counts. So Instagram likes rewards how many likes and how many comments and things that you're getting on your posts over how many followers you have. So this is exactly why you always see posts and stories from your, quote unquote favorite accounts first. The algorithm is taking into consideration whose content you're engaging with the most, and then Instagram is going to show you that person's content more frequently than the content you don't engage with. And so it works, the opposite way as well. The people that are engaging with your content are going to be shown your content more frequently. So the more people who you engage with, the more your content is going to show up in their feed. So it is important to note, when I'm talking about engagement, I mean more than just leaving a heart eye emoji when someone says, "Oh, I love this," like on your post of your kitchen or your dog or whatever. So unfortunately, when people are commenting on your posts, unfortunately responding just with, just liking the comment or just replying with emojis, that unfortunately doesn't count toward your engagement. It doesn't stir up a conversation. So you want to think about comments. Comments are key. And generally the rule of thumb for responding to comments is 4 or more words. Because the idea is that meaningful, like beefy burrito comments are going to make more meaningful connections, right? Like that's how you stimulate a conversation. So just like making phone calls and writing personal notes to your audience or your sphere, you get out of social media what you put into it. So it's just generally when you're engaging, it's important to show that there is a real person behind your account and that it's not just, you know, a robot. People want to know that it's a real human. And someone that you interact with briefly is still going to be more inclined to comment on future posts than someone you've never interacted with. So just by, you know, having those simple conversations, it doesn't have to be a whole big thing, but having those simple conversations is going to encourage people to come back and keep interacting with you. So keep that in mind when you are engaging. Okay, tip number 2 is to go deeper with your captions. So not every caption needs to be a storytelling moment. You know, sometimes I see captions on social media that are, you know, super long, but it doesn't have to be like that every time. But think about your captions as a way for your followers to get to know you and get to know your business a little bit better. You know, studies have shown that longer, more thoughtful captions, that's a great way to connect with your followers and, you know, foster that higher level of engagement, you know, by giving somebody to read. And I know what you're all thinking. I know you're thinking, but Maddie, no one is going to take the time to read my long caption. And, you know, not everyone will, but the followers who are reading those longer captions are also more likely to leave a comment responding to your caption. And that's the whole point, right? It gives you an engagement opportunity. So, you know, your caption doesn't necessarily have to appeal to everyone, but you know, if you get one comment out of it, great, you're doing your job. You know, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about captions. Don't be afraid to, you know, write those longer, beefier comments. And then at the end of your caption, try including a clear call to action at the end. So call to actions are a really good way to get your audience to take action on a certain prompt or answer a question or something like that. So a simple call to action, it prompts followers, you know, who in other circumstances might have just liked the post. You know, having that call to action on the end maybe will make them, you know, stop scrolling and actually leave a comment if they see that call to action. So for example, I grabbed this screenshot of a featured listing that we posted on our Instagram account. You can see like at the end there, I added comment below and we'll send you the link. So this is kind of a separate little like engagement adjacent note. But when you're posting about listings, make sure you're not giving away all the keys to the kingdom. You know, if you are posting the direct link to the listing with all the information the consumer needs, then well, the consumer doesn't have any reason to contact you because they have all the information they need, right? So instead, you know, giving a baseline of information and then adding that call to action on the end, encouraging people to comment, and then that will give you the opportunity to send them the link so that you can have a more one-on-one conversation with them about it. You know, encouraging people to reach out. If you're posting all the information, you know, out there in the universe, then, you know, that you're essentially cutting yourself out. You're cutting out the middleman because they can see all the information. So that's a, you know, side note. But the point is that, you know, just doing a quick little bite-sized amount of information and then adding that call to action on the end will encourage people to comment and say, oh, send me the link. Like, I want to see the listing. Okay, and then the last tip I have for you guys is to utilize friend lists. So this one in particular is a Facebook tip. Facebook has friend lists, Instagram does not. However, you can, do similar things on Instagram to, a means to an end will be the same. Uh, so with Facebook, wouldn't it be really nice if you could filter your news feed to only show the content from people that you really want to engage with? We talked about how it's always the same, like 20 friends or so. How do what if those aren't people that you want to engage with? Well, you kind of can on Facebook. Creating friend lists on Facebook kind of lets you do this. It kind of lets you narrow your newsfeed. So, for example, and to find those, so you're going to go on your, main newsfeed page over, you're going to click on friends, and then down at the bottom list of friends here, there's this custom lists option, which will open up this next page here, and you'll have the option to create a list. So that's where you can find those. It's just under your, from your home page, click friends, custom list, then create list. So for example, maybe you create a friends list for your hot prospects. So these are the people in your sphere that you know are going to buy or sell really soon. You can go into this friend list that you created for these prospects. You can assign them to the list. And I've gotten questions before about whether or not it notifies people that you've added them to a list. It does not. They do not get a notification. It's only for your purposes. So you can go into this friend list that you've created for these prospects, and you'll see all of their recent updates right there on like a little mini newsfeed. So by doing this, you're not only never going to miss a post, but you can secretly get them to engage with you by going about this way. Because the more you comment and interact with their posts, the more they're going to see your content when you make new posts. That's how the algorithm works. It's going to like link you behind the scenes, essentially. So if they, for example, post about a new puppy that they just got, you have a lot of different options. You can comment on the post right away. You could send them a private message, asking them to grab lunch at a puppy-friendly restaurant and, tell them to bring the dog. Or you could, if handwritten notes are more your thing, social media is not for everybody, I get that. So if you're more of a handwritten note person, you can still utilize this, see that update, and then send a handwritten note about how you saw their new puppy on social media and send them a gift card to like Three Dogs Bakery for them to go get a new bandana or a dog treat or, whatever. The possibilities are endless. And all the while, you just look like you're being a really good friend, right? And who are they going to end up calling then when it's finally time to buy or sell? They're probably going to call their realtor friend who always comments on their posts and is always so engaged with what they have going on and is always in the loop and checking in and being a good friend. All because you went out of your way to interact with these people. So at the end of the day, I always like to tell people like to talk about themselves. We all do. Nobody wants to say they like to talk about themselves, but everybody likes to talk about themselves. So these people are going to remember you when you reach out to them during those big moments, like when they got a new dog, when they, I don't know, had a baby, have an anniversary, anything like that, those bigger moments. And with this, you can make a list for anybody really. You could do it for new clients in your pipeline. You could do it for referral sources. Whatever you can think of, you can use these lists. And it's an easy way to make sure that you're never missing a post from the people that matter, and that you are always staying top of mind for your sphere. That's all I've got for you guys today. If you guys, I know I ran over a little more than 15 minutes, but I hope you, stuck with me and found some information that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions, or feel free to shoot me an email. I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. It doesn't look like I have any questions in the chat box. Couple thanks, Maddie. So I think we are good. Like she said, if you've got any further questions, feel free to shoot Maddie an email. And thanks for hanging out with us, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone.